turn my mic up here. And I'm going to share my screen. Excellent. Yeah. So I've opened up that I've opened up my DWT file. So I'm modifying my template so that as I go forward, we don't do too many tables, but at least if I do this now, it'll always be set up if I'm still using that uh, wherever you've saved that DWT from pulling it off Canvas. So here I am. Everything is all good until I get to the I'm on the annotate tab. These are all preloaded, so I'm just going to say to my tables tab, I'm gonna manage this style. So it's either get to here, goes right to the options I have, or I can get to it right here. And really nothing's been built off of since default. So these are just showing the two different there's a mechanical metric. I can't remember if this maybe is one that I've brought in. This one might not, default might only just say standard here. And so maybe I have actually loaded this. You show a mechanical inch there. You could delete that. So I think maybe what I've done, you could actually highlight it and then right click. So it'd be like highlight it, right click, and you could say delete. If it lets you delete, it means there's really nothing on that drawing that is using that. If it won't let you delete, it means there's a table on your drawing that's being used by that, and it'll delete that table too. It might give you an additional prompt, but yeah, that would make sense. I think I probably did delete mine already in that anything that says inch on a metric one, I would hope you should be able to delete. So even if you have, like, you could look at this, maybe I did delete. Maybe there's an inch one that shows up in your text style. You could highlight that and delete it because technically there shouldn't be any inch stuff in a metric template. And it's really a more problem for the template person than it is, you. If you're working in a company, it'd be somebody else's problem. You'd be like, hey, we got weird inch text styles here. And the template person would be like, I'm gonna go in and fix that because I don't want somebody to select the wrong text on a metric template. There shouldn't be anything inch related. I just think there is because I probably have cross-contaminated my templates a little bit by dragging and dropping different styles from one drawing to the next. Because that's a shareable thing. You go to my design center and I can bring in blocks and text styles and dimension styles. I can share all that pretty quickly through drawing to drawing. So I think if it shows up, it's been drag and drop in here incorrectly, likely by me. And so I've cleaned mine up. Yeah, if there's an inch one, delete it. And then if there's a mechanical metric, that's the one that I would highlight. And maybe I'm going to go into modify now. So I'm on my table style. I'm going to go to modify. And so what you have control over here, it's just like every other dialog box. There's a few things to, maybe this one's a little bit more buried, but here's like 3 tabs of control. Otherwise, everything is just kind of on this dialog box as the main dial. I'll make mine a little bit bigger so we can see and bury my other stuff. But this is the secondary dialog box and what I can modify. You'll notice that one thing that annoys the heck out of students is this. I leave mine like this, but this is really like students hate this for whatever reason. The default table direction is going up. So it's like bottom is title, then you've got the headings for the columns, and then the data. So it's built up from bottom up. It doesn't bother me because I'm used to working in industries where they just left it like this. And it's funny that it is AutoCAD's standard, or its default standard is to build the table up, but this annoys students to no end. And if this does annoy you, all you have to do is change this to go down. And then it'll be like maybe a table that sits better with you and that the title's on top, the column headings are on top, and the data then goes down the table. So you can pick either one. I have just left mine as defaults because I like to be different. And but not really. It's just that yeah, but you could, if you do change this here, it'll then be changed on your template and you won't have to worry about it again. But that's either down or up built temple or tables. I'm okay with either one. I don't care which way you go, whatever makes sense to you. And then you get a lot of control over how the data gets displayed and stuff. And so, I mean, there are like we can go through here and change. We can create new styles within the cells, and we might do this. We might have to like kind of change some of the precision of some of our cells to carry more or less decimal places. But right here is where, so there's the alignments. This is talking about just some of the general properties of the table, the margins of the table and stuff. So it's a little bit like an Excel spreadsheet formatting a little bit here. But The one thing I want to make sure is just the text itself follows like our text. Like this is the biggest critical change for me is that I changed my text to be on this metric one to be ASME 3 millimeter. And so I just you would so when you bring up this dialog box, it should show you all the different text styles that you have in your drawing already. And so I'm just going to pick the standard 3 millimeter is the normal text height. That's the biggest change I want to make. Nothing, I'm actually changing nothing else. But if you want to change the direction, that's fine. And we won't have to worry about the data accuracy yet until we actually have some data and analyze if it's computing right or wrong. And so I don't really change my data styles until I decide that it's not displaying correctly for me. And you can either spot change it or you can come into this styles manager and change and do an overall change. So okay. And some of this I think we might just spot change some of the data for watching my accuracy more than anything. But that's it. So if I just say okay on that, it's just that like your last, you always have the option to make sure it's always the one that's set current. Like, right, this is like going to be set current. So, and then I'm just going to save this. So that's really all the manipulate. Once I've saved this as my DWT, now it's kind of formatted for I could just open it and go to town and use it. So I'll open up my next one, which is just I have the other template that is if I dive down to my templates here again, that is just the A3 size sheet that I use a lot more than the other size sheets. So that one that I just fixed was the metric ISU with all the sheets. Now I'm going to fix my metric ISU with the A3 size sheet. So I'm going to open that one up. You could take a look through this one as well. And if there's any inch dimensions here, you can delete them. Those shouldn't have any, there shouldn't be any dimensions on this drawing as a template to have those dimensions. So you should be able to delete that one easily if it's in there. If there was any dimension styles here that were inch related or something, those could be deleted. I can't remember if there was or not. Mine's cleaned up now, but and eventually I'll re-upload these to Canvas. I just didn't again. I need to delete the ones out of Canvas and then re-upload them. I just figured, this is a good time for us to revisit like our formatting actually. So I didn't feel like it's actually a huge problem. So I might just leave it the way it is and remind myself every semester to change the table style. But you don't have to change anything with your multi-leader style unless there's 1 inch one hanging out. You could delete it. And then the mechanical metric, I just want to change my table style here. So like Arya said, you probably on this one, there's an inch one that shows up too that you should be able to select and delete, like right click and delete it. Yeah. And then I'm gonna change my mechanical standard or mechanical metric one. I'm gonna modify it. And it's mostly just the text. I just want to make sure that I go to the text tab here and pick the ASME 3 millimeter and then just say okay. And change that if you want it to go up or down. Go ahead and change that. Okay. And then I would just make sure I have that one set as my current and say close. So yeah, I think yeah, this one is because I have two different. Yeah, that's just the nature of my templates are is that I have and the way I've uploaded them to Canvas is you have the option to have one that just has A3 only, which I use a lot when I'm just gonna. This is probably the one I'm gonna use to make this first drawing. So I use this one less because I don't end up using all these sheet sizes. I think a few of you have been turning in some assignments on A4, which is why I still like this because if I say drafter's choice and it fits on A4, then that's fine. You know, you could use. I think maybe like the metric template doesn't have one that's horizontal in the smaller sheet that might or vertical I guess that might fit better on some assignments. So I've seen some students using that. That's fine. Like you can use those, but we don't use we haven't turned anything in on A2, A1 or A0 and we really won't. They're really large size sheets. A3's my normal mechanical standard or an A4. I feel like A4 is really common just to share information, like from an engineer or whatever. They might use just a regular size sheet with maybe some computer sketching that they send you or something. And A3 is definitely the more standard, like issued drawings from Mechanical World in metric. And B size in inch is the more uh, most commonly like issued drawings from Mechanical are B size in inch and A3 size in metric. So um, and an architectural is a whole nother world. So we don't even go there. That's somebody else's problem. Anyway, I have fixed both of these templates for their table styles mostly. So I'm going to save those. I'll just close those up. I'll leave this one because I'm going to, well, I'll just close it up. And I'll save this one too and close it up. And then I got to do that to my inch ones. So I'm going to go ahead and open those up. If I'm opening them from CAD, I'm able to search for that DWT drawing. And this is how I generally modify my templates. So what I need to do is find the inch ones. So I have an ISU inch that has all the sheets right here. It just is my ASME inch ISU is all the sheets. So I'm going to open that thing up. It's still a DWT, so I can modify the template. Like I say, this one's a little more useful. I feel like the horizontal A size sheets they're hard. They're not easy to use for our drawings, but this one has people have turned their assignments in on this one because this does fit some of our assignments pretty well, actually. I have probably been using the B size sheets mostly in our drawing that I've done on my videos. And that's again because it's the standard sheet size for inch is B size. So I just need to double check through its text as well. So there's more options here. Like if there's anything metric in here, it should be able to be deleted. But it definitely has our two sizes of ASME text height. They're annotative. So that should already be set on yours. And then dimension styles, they should have more that we're going to start using this week a little bit. So the reason why this one has more is because some of the stuff we start covering when we talk about tolerances are we can format our dimension styles to cover those tolerances. So this one has some pre-built dimension styles already in it that might come in handy for some of our assignments this week or next. Yeah, and maybe even a little later. Are actually adding tolerances to, even though you're going to study them in theory this week, actually adding them to drawings still could be trickle in a couple weeks down the road to our actual drawings. But I'm just going to make sure the ASME inch 2 decimal is what's set current. It should be. You shouldn't have to change that. And then the liters should already be formatted right. There's mechanical inch. There's standard. So I'm doing the ASME inch liter. That should be what's already preloaded on yours as well. And the table style should kind of be similar, that there's two different ones. Mechanical inch is the one I probably need to modify. And I just need to make sure the text is actually just the normal size text for inch, which is 0.125 style text. It'll put whatever data we put in our table, it'll just be the correct size of text. So I'm going to just say okay on that and just make sure that that's the one that's set current and close it. And I save that. And I got to do it one more time because I have one more template file that is specific to just the B size sheet. So that way, no matter what I grab, I know the table is set up. So this is my ASU. Oh, sorry, that's the metric one. This is my B size, inch B size only. So I'll open this. Just only has one plotted printing. So here I know that I don't need to change anything else. I can actually read it here from those drop downs. It has the same styles as that last one, but I just need to fix this one. That one, I need to modify it. And it's that text tab, same type of text I want in that table. Okay. Close. And I just save that. So if I was the template person, it would be my job to like do these kind of modifications and then re-upload this where everybody's grabbing the templates for the company I work for. It's pretty normal. These are on a server, generally locked down so people can't modify the version that's on the server. Whether that's in a vaulted library, they might call it. Like Autodesk calls their server, or they have like what we call document and configuration control. Like Autodesk has built a whole like library system manager that they sell people, and they call it Vault, and it's just a library. It's just like where you can keep your one copies of everything, your master copies essentially, and people can. It's kind of like where the parents, the DWTs are kept there, plus drawing files and models that are all like locked down. People can check those out and to use them and recreate from them. Kind of so the stuff that's in the library is generally like kind of like parents, and then in a company you might build from those parent files and create children's, which are new drawings, modified equipment from the parent. Some places will call that core equipment, like they've cored their equipment. It's in a core library. I can pull that out and work from it. My piece of equipment might be slightly modified from a core piece of equipment, but I can kind of check out that core piece of equipment, make a copy of it, and then start to modify that copy. So that's like a configuration control is going to be like that, like a library system for check in, check out, make copies. And so we're not always starting from total scratch. And then somebody's job is going to be like keep track of the templates And when somebody recognizes something's wrong, you'll have to check those out, modify them, check them back in, then tell everyone, hey, recheck, refresh, get the most updated templates so that you're not starting from an old template. So it was funny after years and years, we'd still find things that were slightly wrong. There was one that was, I think I told you that we had a sister company in the Netherlands. For years and years, we had their address spelled wrong. It needed two O's instead of one O in the one of the street names that their address was on. And so for 15 years, we'd sent out drawings with their incorrect spelling for their street address. So that got fixed while we were there. Somebody finally noticed it. Hey, you spelled Montfort wrong in Dutch. So template person had to fix that. Anyway, I'm ready to go now on this particular drawing. And my computer thinks it's 9:01 a.m. So it thinks that the time went back and it really didn't. So isn't that weird? But one of my screens says the time is correct. So my other screen says it's 9:59. My other one says it's 9:01. That means my computer is probably going to crash at any time now. So anything, I'm going to save all and exit and restart my computer and hope that it corrects. So it doesn't, yeah. I just finally know. I'm just like, what is it? It's paid. It's almost 10 o'clock, isn't it? Yeah. I'm dead.
Battery bad every time I put it down.
Just will not reset us.
Server clock error.
Yeah.
In the 2016, but the internet's telling.
Yeah. If I'm working in my right monitor, I'm in the right world. If I'm working in my left monitor, it's an hour behind. So weird. Okay. It's a problem. So I'm going to actually, to do this drawing, I'm going to use the metric one. So I can just go ahead and open from, generally when I'm opening in CAD, I open from my file and then it converts my DWT right to a DWG. I don't know if that's what you do, that's what I do. So I need to open up my file, find my templates that I just saved, which are here. And I need the metric one. I think I'm just going to open the metric A3 size sheet is the one I want. Metric A is for this drawing, for this first metering block bob. And then I'm drawing by coordinate point, so I really have to start this on the right origin point here. So I think I'll pull up my my assignment sheet here for this particular assignment, right? I have it in link 10. The metering block bob. This is the thing that's uploaded is the assignment sheet. That's a Word doc, this one. It's arrowless tabular dimensioning. It kind of is. It's somewhat arrowless because I am going to put a few linear dimensions on here. I do want to capture the 45, 90, 24. So I'll just do the 3 views of this first. That's the easiest part, is just to locate this from origin right here. So it's 45 by 90. So I'll just do that. So we'll start this. I probably can't finish this drawing, but I might continue to draw after class is over and finish my table. So yeah, go ahead.
God.
Oh, your toolbar is gone. Yeah, that's probably the. Double click home. It definitely changes it to like the. Oh yeah, so that's. Yeah, it does. Is that working for you, or do you even have tab? Do you have these? Oh, it is true, huh? You can lose this crap so easy. And yeah. Yeah, this is like the fully express ribbon menu. This is like the first click is like a shorthand one. You don't even have that. And if not, if you restart your CAD, if you just like close CAD and reopen it, it'll probably, oh, it's still gone. Oh, I bet you we can figure this out. Oh yeah. I'll give it to you Wednesday. Yeah. Let me see if I can, but I will. Yeah, I am casting again. Yes. Yes. You guys are back. Yes. So that's all I was saying is if you're working ahead or whatever, just put your tables out here. So I build like if I'm going to, so I'm just jumping ahead for people that are already, pretty quick and moving along. Just come in here. If you're gonna start a table, start it here or move it. You could copy and paste it. If you've built it in model space, just make a copy of it, Control C. You should be able to Control V, paste it over here, or right click, paste, copy it. But essentially, if I'm working ahead on that annotate tab and I want to add a table, it would be like, okay, I'm going to add a table, and it's already this is like just default. But I would add them out here in on the paper space, and I can like modify this thing to fit how I want to enter the data that I need, and exactly. So with the table, it's kind of clumsy. You get like out here somewhere, you'll get like the grip to move the whole table. You can resize the columns this way. You can also within a table like individually highlight each cell here, just like an Excel spreadsheet. Think of that, or a Google spreadsheet. But the main grip for it's going to be somewhere out here on the edge. That one goes blue. So just watch your colors and change and watch your grips that you have access to. You might mess up your table. I'm going to get rid of mine real quick. I just wanted to show you. There's not much that I'm doing here other than I drop my table, which is just here's how you would like drop a table is you'd come in here and say like I want a table. And then before you drop it, you could already determine how many columns and rows you might need. I don't really worry about the width too much until I know how it's going to fit in my drawing. So I can just drop the default widths and heights. But it's going to follow that style, which means it's going to have that text style inside and any of the other data that I would have changed, whether you flipped it the other way or not. And so if I just and of course I could start to I can name this stuff, but anyway, I would just say I'm going to drop this table on my actual sheet. So I'm not dropping it in a viewport. I'm actually on my sheet where I put my title block and I would drop it. And then I could start modifying it individually. To move it, of course, it's just the main grip out here to move it. This is how you could resize some of the column heights or widths of the whole table. And then you can individually manage each section just by clicking through it and get to be where you want to be. I think it operates like an Excel, like if you enter data, then click enter. Oh, I was thinking maybe it goes down, but yeah, we'll play with this once I have some data to put in it. I'm going to do the drawing first, so I'm going to get rid of my table here. Delete. Let's do model first, but yeah. I mean, it's not wrong to have built the table here. It's just that maybe I would build it through the viewport if I did that. It's text, and so maybe I want it to be annotative. And so I would kind of consider if I did build it here, I'd do it through the viewport because my little red flag in my brain should go off like, hey, I'm adding text to my document. Do I want to be at the model scale or do I want to be at the paper scale? And so, yeah, let's draw though. This one it has to be from a specific coordinate point, right? On the assignment sheet, it wants me to be 45, 90, 24. So I should be able to go over to CAD. It's funny, my tab. And start that drawing from 0, 0, right? If I'm, there might not be too much construction work needed on this. I could probably almost just draw this straight from scratch. From 0, 0, like, remember, if you're going to draw from 0, 0, that's what you have control over here is it's spitting out the coordinate points of where that line is going to start. So I could just say 0, tab, 0, and it's going to move my cursor to 0, 0, right? So to me, this is the way I was going to draw. This is how tall? 45, 90, 24. So it's 45 by 90 by 45 again, or straight down, 45. And then C for close. If you're closing a polygon, C is closed. It'll close that for you. But that's a 45, 90. And then 24 deep. So I might project over to a right side view. So that's my front view. On this particular one, we only need a right side view. And we need a simplified one at that. So I'm just going to, this is where I would do maybe some construction to keep it in orthographic alignment, but I'm going to come over here so far. I don't know. How far do I need? Maybe only 75 millimeters over is all I need. And then this is going to be the same height. I'm on the construction layer, but I'll just change my layers here. But this is 45, right? By 24. This is the depth of the block. 45 tall. Yeah, so now I'm just going to select all this and push it over to, well, maybe I'll match these properties first, and I'll want all these to be switched. There we go. Here's my two views, pretty simple. Now I can start placing these circles by coordinate points, really. So I'm going to bring up that assignment sheet on my other screen and just start ripping through this list, because when you specify a center, I just need to keep track of the diameters. I have like an A1 that's 7 in diameter. My Bs are all 5 in diameter. My Cs are all 4 in diameter. And then I have an outlier that's 2.5 in diameter for D. So I'm just going to have this up on my other screen and put in these X, Y coordinate points. I'm not going to worry about Z too much in my front view. I just need to capture that in my table more than anything. So let me move this over and show you what I'm going to do. I'll just start from the top of that list down. Maybe if I get my thing positioned right. There we go. I'll get on my circle command on my actual visible line layer. I just got to go place all these circles by coordinates. So you remember, you just like a line, I have a coordinate point here for my circle. Center point of the first one is A is 64. And this, this is X, Y. My cursor is the first box is X, the second box is Y coordinates. So I should be able to type them in just like they are in my table. So that's 64, tab 38, enter. Move my cursor over here. This is where A1 lives, and I just need to know it's, I'm drawing by radius when I do this because I picked a radius circle, and I'll probably just continue doing that. So the diameter is 7 on my table, and so, but I'm drawing my circle by radius, so half of my diameter is 3.5 for the radius. That's where A1 lives. A1 hole. Should be 7 in diameter. Looks good to me. Now I'm just gonna go through and add them all. B1 is at 538. 5, tab, 38, enter. And it is 5 in diameter, so that's 2.5 in there. That's B1. I'll come back and label them later, but I'm just going to get the visible lines drawn in here. So I'll go through and add all these. B2, 7238. 7238. It's the same diameter. These are all B's, they're all 5, so 2.5 radius. And enter again to go back into my, so now I'm at 6411, it looks like. Five. The last B1 is 79 and 11. And it's also 2.5. Now the C ones, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those. They're all 4 in diameter, so 2 radius. 1938's the first one. And it's only 2 in radius or 4 in diameter. And then I've got which one? C2, 4838. And it is 2. 5 and 21 is my next one. It's also 2. 30 and 21 is C4. C4. 30, 21. C5, 72, 21. Also 2. And 1911 is C6, yeah. D1 is the little outlier here. It's small, so it's just, but it's at 48.6, 48 in the X direction, 6 in the Y direction, and it's only 2.5, so half of that is 1.25. 1.25 millimeters in radius. Should be a 2.5 millimeter diameter. Looks like it is. Good. That's essentially that. And then this would really make it, if I projected all these across, make a really busy hidden line mess that would be not add clarity. So we just drop the hidden line views there. We don't even want them. So, I mean, there could be an argument that maybe it's some of these they might need a section view, but I think we're just going to leave that unsectioned and just leave this as a straight up right side view with no hidden lines. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it could be argued that I would want to show the two that are at some depth and call out their length here. Oh no, I'm not going to do that. Or I think there's only one that's not through. A1 is the only one that's not through. Yeah, we'll call that out in the table versus show its hidden line here. So yeah. Um, yeah, this is it. This is all that needs to show in here. So I got to come in here. I think this probably fits 1-to-1. I can't remember. I think I just left mine at 1-to-1. Well, let's see here. We've got
I want this one on your job. Should I have got this thing?
if you borrowed a table,
No, like,
it should be the same. It should be the same. Yeah, yeah. I'm using the assignment sheet, but my table should be the same as this one, maybe. Yeah.
B1 and B2.
Are different.
B1 and B2 have the exact same coordinates, but they're different.
So on my table, I have B2 at 7238 and C1 at 7238.
B1 is at 238.
Okay.
B2 is at
Oh, and it should be B2 should be 7238. So maybe I have a mistake in my table. That's good.
I just like
You shouldn't have two that are concentric. Yeah. So yeah, I'll pull that up and show everybody here that I must have a mistake on my in here. On my table, I have a mistake according to how it actually was drawn. Probably it's probably a data input mistake here. So yeah, it's a C1 is 1938, right? Is that the one? And then wait.
B1.
And this two. These two, yeah, one of these is wrong. And so according to this one, B2 should be 7238. So that's a good catch. And I was building mine from this. So I will, and what's that? Do that. And the funny thing is I just uploaded this imagery only just to be like, hey, this is where we're actually going, and it's wrong. So that's funny. So I'll change this out when I fix it now. But yeah. And if you guys have to take off, you get it. This is where I'm heading though, and I'll continue to record as I finish this drawing. But and then tomorrow I'll probably jump into the other one. You can feel free. It's very similar, only if I just talk ahead for anybody if I just talk to the people that are moving through and look at the other assignment real quick. I'll pull up its imagery, maybe verify that my coordinates are right for one thing. And but it's this block gasket. The only difference is there's more dimensioning going on with this one, and it's also an orientation issue where if you just read through this, we're going to orient this differently than how it's built. So I'm actually going to start this at X and Y. Like I'm still going to use X and Y, but I'm going to use this and I'm going to flip it 90 degrees. So this is the origin point right here. Everything's built from there out dimensionally here. This is kind of shows you how busy this can get to individually locate stuff on a drawing. This is probably still good. Like you could probably submit this and it would be fine. So, using tabular dimensioning versus this, maybe there's an argument like I'll just leave linear dimensions. But yeah, the tables are simplified for sure. They're meant to just, be a little simpler, and we just like do a few just to expose ourselves to the use of a tabular style dimensioning. But so one thing I'm going to is just orient this 90 degrees. And if you read through the directions, that's what it's telling you to do. And then you'll notice that there are some dimensions we need to carry though. So when I go down and look at how I finished mine, there's a few dimensions that I am carrying with arrowless ordinate dimension. So that's the key on this one, is that we are actually not using the linear dimension style. And I'm going to watch that I'm holding, maybe continuing the accuracy that I was given here. So I don't want to, like our dimension style will definitely be 2 decimal places. So it looks like here I'm going to carry mostly 3 decimal places. So there's an argument that I'd probably just create a new dimension style that's 3 decimal places. Like just make a copy of my existing dimensional style and then make one out to 3 decimal places rather than spot precise, change all these and then match all properties. I'm just going to make a new dimension style that doesn't exist probably and I'll make it out to 3 decimal places. And then I'll carry a different style of dimensioning here. The only thing I'm carrying here is probably just some of the rectangular features here is what I'm actually calling out the dimensions from. And this is what's kind of weird is I'm calling that out from probably the 0 point down is how ordinate dimensioning is going to pull from 0, 0 in both directions. Only it's not going to apply negative and positive values like we would on our, we are going to hold that standard on our table. Just based off where the 0, 0 point is, we're actually going to have negative and positive coordinate points, but we're not going to call out negative dimensions when we do that. So what I like, this is just a little bit more complicated what's going on. And that's why I like to start with the one we are. But if those are working ahead, just watch yourself. Let me show you one more thing of where that's found. If I go back to CAD, and if I was actually going to go into this block and use, I'm going to use linear dimensions. But if I was pretending for a minute that I needed to have the dimension style for the other, on the annotate tab, you have underneath here an ordinate style of dimensioning here. So if I call this out here and I actually go to dimension and I'm on the ordinate style here, it's going to call this out as not what I thought. So hold on just a minute. It might be that I have to click down here. No, I thought it was just this. Maybe instead of picking this, sorry, this is always going to be a linear dimension. I'm going to choose this one. Choose that. Now I should be able to dimension. There we go. That looks more like an ordinate dimension like that. So that one I probably should have pulled out this one. So they're going to act just a little bit differently. I still want the leader line to be, and then the normal like spacing out the leader line. So I should, if I wanted to go that way, I should have picked this one, but I went this way. So this is not how I'm going to do this. I'm just showing you on the other side, but this is kind of how it is. And then I can move these to kind of add that jog in the line if I need to. I generally kind of like, I try to like line up those dimensions, maybe by their shoulder end or where their text is. So I do try to keep a nice, clean looking ordinate style dimensioning. But yeah, so if I needed to do that again, maybe it'd be coming off the bottom this way, it would look like that. Sometimes I'll pull these slightly out of alignment so that I can see them, especially if they're conflicting with something else. What we're also going to add is the axes of the, I'm going to do that through the viewport like I'm doing here. But and if you're doing this, sometimes it is helpful when you're doing those to always add where the 0 is as well, right? So it's funny, I would probably add this one, and I might pull it just slightly out of off the fruit. And then what I mean for alignment is I might like spot to try to align these. Ordinate style dimensioning does locate these, like they twist the text into like the orientation of where you're pulling the dimensions. So these are going to be text vertical and text horizontal. I think I leave that there on ordinate style dimension. I'm going to look at my assignment. Yes, I don't reorient my. Technically, I could go in and change this dimension style to orient the text into horizontal leading, but I think generally with ordinate dimensioning, even in ASME standard, we're going to pull them the text the direction of what that it kind of relates to the direction that dimension can pull. Horizontal dimensions and then vertical dimensions. The text is rotating. So just something to watch. And these are subtle differences that we now pick up as drafters that someone else may not know what the details that we're looking at. So tells you that we're learning something. Because now we can identify, well, there's some weirdness to this. And most of them I just keep straight unless the reason why I start adding like moving the dimension from beyond straight is it might conflict with here. It conflicts with the axis. So I pull it slightly. But I am kind of trying to line up the dimensions. Maybe the decimals are kind of lined up across vertically and horizontally. Like I'm not just like staggering them like really weird. And it's funny, you would think, well, why don't I stagger these? And I'm like, there could be an argument there. But this one I've pulled a little bit staggered just so I can differentiate, like the text might crash into itself. But I could pull one out further. Like if there was another dimension in here that I couldn't fit in these, then I can just pull it out further and make sure that it's clear to where it tracks to, I guess. So just watch yourself. But all positive dimensions in the ordinate, but then our table is going to capture true coordinates. So it's just because someone's going to probably pull this data into their table and they're just going to pull it into their G code and let it just interpret this table and say, oh, cool, this is the coordinate points for the features. Just load that into my program. It knows that this is 0, 0, 0, and everything else will be based off what you gave it. So yeah, a machinist might like this. Their table's already built for them. So I'll go back in and kind of finish my drawing. This is not ordinate dimensioning for this one. I could just, because there's only a few dimensions that I need for linear dimensions. So I'm in my viewport here, which I think is still at 1 to 1. Roughly my part's going to end up there somewhere, so I'll leave it. And I'll go in and dimension this stuff out. So it's still going to have all the center marks, so I can do that at least. And I think there's a few different ways you can build your axes too. So maybe I'll do that first. Doesn't really matter what I start with. There's some work I need to do. I need to draw the axes. I use the dimension. I use my axes, and I can't say that my axis line designation. I think I just put on the dimension layer. I mean, you could tell me it's on the object layer too, but I'm not super. I just want a continuous line, and I want it to be probably a light line. And the dimension line layer weight, I think, is just kind of a lighter line weight. I'm just checking this real quick. So I think it's 0.13 millimeter. Where's my dimension? There. So, yeah. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Are you taking off like that? See, am I back? I'm back. Yes. I'm gonna continue on. All I was doing while I was in here was just looking at my line weight. And so to do my axes, I'm using a light line weight. So I could choose anything that's continuous and light line weight in a long ways. So that would also plot. For me, like the dimension layer works well for that. It's a 0.13 millimeter line weight. It's a continuous line. So that's a good one. I mean, the text one's a 0.3, so it's a little bit heavier. I'm going to cancel this, but moral of the story is what I use, and there is no like, there's not, I would say there's not a huge right or wrong here, but I used like a dimension line to be my axis here. And I didn't make these any specific length either. This could have been anything. Maybe I'll put them 25 and I'll just decide how that's going to fit. And I don't even think I broke this away from my object. Like normally an extension line would, I'm going to keep this right on coming off the object as the Y axis here. And then I'm going to do the same thing this way for the X axis. I think I made it 25 originally, and I can change that later too. I might move this to front because it kind of disappeared. We'll send this one to back if that didn't work for me. Or turn off my construction layer. That would even be more helpful because I don't need it. Yeah, I just did 25 right now, and there's really no right or wrong. Like if it doesn't fit my viewport good, I can tuck that in. So yeah. So that's definitely like an arbitrary length line. Does I don't know. And then this one's going to become the Z axis, how deep this is. I'll just make it 25 right now too, but I can shorten that up when I put an arrow on it. And the only thing I didn't do on mine that I show is, maybe it's right or more correct to have shown the Y axis on this part as well. But and then those got named and they got a polyline. And so if you remember how I made my arrows, I could make those on any layer too that was continuous. And I think I chose to make these on a visible object layer. My polyline, it is my arrow that has a width of point. This is metric, so it's like it still is a double the size arrow. And this is something that's not maybe ASME standard because I feel like you could probably use a normal size arrow on this too. And I'm just using a cutting plane arrow for my axis arrow. But a normal metric arrow is a 3-to-1 ratio still, but it's the equivalent of 0.125 long in metric, which is 3 millimeters long. And so that means the width is 1 millimeter by 3 on a normal size arrow, 1 to 3 ratio. So that's 1 millimeter wide, 3 millimeters long. I'm doing double that. So I'm going to do, my width is going to be 2 millimeter here for my polyline. So I said 2. The ending width is 0 to make a point like that. And then the length is going to be that 3:1 ratio. So if it's too wide, it's 6 millimeters long. So that's kind of like if I was actually making a cutting plane or a viewing plane for a section or for auxiliary view, that would be my 1:1 size double size arrow is what I've got. And it's 1 millimeter by, sorry, it's 2 millimeters by 6 millimeters. I'm gonna block that though. I'm gonna create a block out of this thing. I'm gonna say I want to be able to pick these by that point on the line, and then I'm gonna select that object, which is just this one object here. It's just that right click or press enter, and then I'm gonna make this thing annotative so it'll scale for me. And I'm gonna say okay. I need to give it a name though, so I can just give this. I'm still gonna. I know I'm gonna use it as an axis arrow or whatever, but I'm still gonna just call it a cutting plane. Cutting plane arrow metric. So if I ever see it on some like block list that I have, I can identify if it's a metric or a standard. It's pretty obvious when you drop them in the wrong, like they're drawn with different units. They definitely don't relate, but it will accept it. That's the confusing part. And then I just say, okay. So I blocked that and created it. So I really don't want the what I drew it with to create it. I just want to insert the blocked one now. Insert, and it should be like should show up pretty somewhere on your list here. Um, I'll just highlight over that for a minute, make sure that that's the one that's turning on. There's my cutting plane arrow metric. Yes. I might have a few others in here. I don't think I do. Let's just do them. Or you can do your recent blocks and find out what you created. And that'll be listed by the most recent ones, right? Looks like I've made my arrows a few times. That's fine. My recent file. There it is. I like that. I'm going to place those and rotate them in the other ways, right? So, and I probably am going to shorten this up. This will just needs to come away, and then I don't know. I'll wait till I'm sizing my viewport to decide if I'm too long that way or not. And I could potentially move this over to. I mean, I could make two viewports, but this is going to be a pretty simple view. Maybe it's just easier to slide it over if it's too far over in my viewport. But so I can modify it however I want. But I'll insert more of those for sure. More of those cutting plane arrows. I'm going to insert one here and rotate it. And I'll insert them all right now, and then I'll not that. I'll insert that in. Insert that one over here. And then I need to rotate these two, so I'll just use rotate that thing by its little point there. That looks correct. Go straight up and down. We'll rotate this one as well. Rotate that thing. Cool. And I'm just going to label those. They need a view label, or kind of a just like a section cutting plane arrow would have a label. This axis label needs one. So I'm going to go. Just going to apply that on my text layer though. Text layer. And I always generally do multi-line text. It could be a single line text for this, but and then I'm just going to place it here somewhere. Make sure that I'm using. I think for this I just use my normal 3 millimeter. With a section plane and a section view, I would definitely use double the size. Here's I'm in that ambiguous area. Maybe I don't even need this big of an arrow either, and maybe the text size is a little ambiguous when it comes. So I used my 3 millimeter text size to say that this is Y, capital Y. Maybe I've center justified, but that's about it. Pretty simple label there. Copy this over. This is also the Y axis. You can be kind of lazy. Sometimes I try to put these, somewhat centered. Maybe I'm not like too particular. And right now my grid is I'm snapping to grid, which is kind of annoying. So always if your thing gets kind of joggy like that, I could tell that it's like trying to snap to the next. Get my grid off for a minute. I feel like sometimes it toggles itself on and I'm not ready for it to do that. from one viewport to the next sometime. Y, and then this is X on this particular part, and I just need to pay attention to the other one. So I can copy this text. I might copy this text box, and then I'll just change the letter here. So I'll just copy this and that. And I'm going to have one labeled here as well, but just not Y. This one is for sure X. Say X. That's the X and Y plane. But our other view change it, right? When we're looking at a right side view, we're actually looking at X, and now we're looking at Z. So X, Y, Z, remember, is either coming towards me or coming away, that three-dimensional concept. So this is why this one becomes a Z axis here. So it would also prove that if I did put coordinate points on this one, if there was some feature that I saw here and wasn't just going through this plane, like this is going on the XY plane. Now this to me is a YZ plane. So if I did put coordinate points on here, these would be by the YZ location, not by X. X might be the depth in this case, but it still would be width, but it would be in this view, we think of it as like coming away or coming towards us. So what you've done here by drawing these different views is you're on a different view plane. This is important to know because like this is like 3D modeling a little bit, is that you got to recognize, hey, X, Y, Z axis. So this is this is called a YZ plane. This is an XY that we are normally used to drawing with, but yeah, go ahead. 6, because it's just double. It's like a 3-to-1 ratio on our arrows. So the width to length is 3-to-1. So if your width is 2, your length is 6. Yep. 2 times 3, 6. Yeah. It's a good thing to remember. I think that comes up on ADDA and all that jazz. They like you to memorize that your arrows are always a 3-to-1 relationship. 3-to-1. So, and then generally we only use 2 sizes. We use like small ones for dimensions, which have an ASME standard. 0.125 is the length in inches, and 3 is the length in millimeters. That's why our normal text height on inches is 0.125, and our normal arrow length is 0.125, and then the width is a third of that, which is 0.04. I mean, that's hard to, but you start to memorize this stuff and then you use it. But this is all I need for that. I'm ready to actually apply center marks on this. I got a bunch of center marks. I'll just go through here and click. I'll probably do one, and then I'll probably adjust its size here. I don't know what I'll do. Maybe I'll just place them all and then match the right properties for the right one. I don't think so. I think I will. Sorry, talking to myself. Center marks. Is this a continuous command? I think it is, which is kind of handy, so I can just dance around this thing. All of these have the wrong ASME extensions, but I think I'll fix the ones that go with the right size. If there's the A and the D size one, so these ones I'll fix kind of. I think I can just fix one. This should be 6. This should be 6 millimeters. I'm thinking right. Yes. Then I'm just going to copy that property from that one to the next. So this one I've extended 6 millimeters. That's this one. Now I'm just going to go through and click on these. They'll all be 6 millimeter extensions. Some of them end up coming together, and that's fine. That shows some horizontal and vertical alignment that doesn't exist. So not each of them wouldn't have been totally hard to linearly dimension, because you would have had some that are actually aligned. Potentially all of these maybe have all the same Y coordinates. So, and if I would have pulled the center line through them all, there is an argument that this would have been fairly easy to linearly align it. Maybe there's only that one in vertical alignment. Maybe this one, there might not be a couple of them in vertical alignment. You could have done this with linear dimensions, not ever done tabular dimensions, but it's all good. And then what it also needs is some dimensions. I'm just not going to use the ordinate dimensions on these. I'm just going to use like a linear dimension or just my regular dimension here. If I want to know its overall height, then I could probably put this in between views. Sure, that would maybe be most correct, and maybe I didn't do that correct on that first one, but when they go 10 millimeters over from the base is what would be correct spacing. Whether you put this next dimension up or down probably isn't, it doesn't matter too much. 4590, but then maybe I'll put my depth over here as well. Those are the only three linear dimensions that I put on my drawing, and then everything else was captured in the table. So I'm gonna go build my table now. I think I still got to do some line type scale. That's what it looks like there. Well, I'll go back and start building my table. Well, I could start labeling these though while I'm in here too. So I could build one because every one of these has to have a feature label. If I'm gonna table something, everything has to be I have to give my feature a unique name. So I can follow that. I mean, really, but these I can invent myself. Like I could see that some people's would be differently. Their table might be slightly different than mine, depending on how they chose to start their table, and it wouldn't really matter. So what I mean is, as a drafter, if you were starting from scratch with nobody to help you at all, you'd be like, well, I'll just start with, maybe I'll label mine largest whole to smallest whole. There might be a systematic approach to how I build my table, because I would kind of try to group things that are together, and knowing that I had like two odd hole sizes, and I had four of one hole size and six of the other. So yeah, I just got to kind of keep track of this, and where I put this on here, it doesn't matter as much either. I don't feel like let me see what my example should be, but on this other assignment, right? Let's see what I did. You kind of can break here's another rule that you can kind of break with this is you actually get to place the feature label on the actual part. It doesn't have to be a leader line pointing to it, but it could be that too. Somebody could have decided to do their feature labels with leader lines. In this case, we're just dropping multi-line text boxes close to my feature, and in no particular orientation around the feature. It looks like they're kind of upper right, lower right, upper right mostly. Here's a lower left. So it's just wherever it looks like clear. There's no right or wrong in where you place the feature label around the feature, I feel like. Looks like me, I've kind of kept mine upper. Looks like I did a little more systematic of approach and put most of my view labels upper right. But this is just drafter choice. Nothing like no code driving you on where you place your feature. And like I said, it could be you could point to it with a multi-leader too, and it might just get kind of busy. And so I feel like just dropping the multi-line text is maybe the simplest way. Um, and uh, and with that being said, I'll kind of go into the weeds a little bit on view labels. So let me jump back over into mine and start labeling mine. So I'll try to keep about the same that I did. I have that image up on my other screen, maybe. Do I? Not exactly. Which one do I have? Let me see. I at least have the assignment sheet up. So I'll probably keep to this. I will keep with this being the same. C1, C2, C3. I will label them the same as this assignment sheet here. So I'll follow that. But technically, if I didn't have that to follow, I probably wouldn't. I probably could choose to label these anyway. So I'll grab one multi-view layer. I'll make sure I'm putting this on the text layer though. So I will make sure I put my text boxes on the text layer. So now I'll come and create this because this one isn't like your dimension. I wish this had a box here where it said just put it always on this layer and it would be text layer always probably. So I like that the dimensions, I choose that I'm always on the dimension layer here. I just kind of wish that I would program that. But anyway, I just make sure I'm on the right layer for this. This is A1. Sure, I think I put A1 up here somewhere. A1. A1. So that's like the easiest way to do it, just A1 but because when you're in a multi-line text, you kind of get what I feel like is kind of like Google Doc or Word document, like Word type ribbon menu. And there is an option to do like subscripts and what are they? Are they subscripts and postscripts? I don't know what the right designation is, but right here, if I place this, if I go back into this text box, I could select this text and choose for it to be maybe like or maybe it's superscript and superscript. I should have just hovered over it and subscript. So I could choose to label these like maybe this way. This is like a superscript type labeling. Like this is A1. And so this is common in some labeling, but this could be like a company or an industry standard where they're like, hey, we label our we label our feature if we're using this type of tabular dimensioning, we may use subscript or superscript type designations. And so you really don't have that option when you initially place the. I think if I just place the text, it doesn't give me the option to do that until I've maybe placed it and then highlighted what I want to take to a superscript. And on that note, you could also be like a subscript notation like this. So it might be common for some industries or some companies to label their stuff like this. You just kind of have to know how to modify it and just watch for. I think in this case, I think we just kept it straight up normal without doing a sub or superscript. Um, yeah, looks like I just used just easy text block notation. On the other one, I think I did. I think I was sorry. I didn't mean to. Didn't want to leave. We'll do that. Still want to be as a student. I didn't need to. I'm just trying to look at the assignment. The next assignment down, I might have used a different scripting. Let's take a look. And it's probably just me following the assignment and how maybe it was previously made. But yeah, here I'm using like a subscript notation there, like the D1 is subscript. But this is also just it wouldn't matter either way unless I was following a real company standard. But it looks like I used the subscript method for labeling notes. And I'm probably just following an existing assignment that was created. And I was like, oh, I see. Which is just something that I like to point out that you just watch yourself because it might matter. And you'd want to follow whatever standards people would follow. You're following my standard here, minus my error that I have on my table. I would just leave this as normal text box. So I'll go back and change this one then to not be a subscript. Anyway, I do try to make sure that these don't like that I don't have interference with these. So I do try to make sure, and I think one reason that this is a little close to this one, so maybe this is an argument of why this one might have been dropped down over here, so I don't misidentify which feature is A1. That one's A1 though, right? And then I just got to go around this thing. So I think I just probably make copies of this. And I place some holidays. I know I'm going to need one here. I'm going to need one here. And I'm just going to go through and modify them all to be the correct feature designation. And then just make sure, like I wished I would have placed that one where it overlapped or overlaps. I just want to make sure that I have my view, my feature label. It's going to want to sometimes snap. We'll do that then. Once I turned off all my snaps. Yeah, cool. So now let's figure out which ones are which here and who's doing. Oh, and hopefully I can modify this text box or something. This is B2. It looks like on that sheet. Yeah, looks like I have any conflict there. And then I have C2 over here. So needs to move a little bit. Something. Three. One is here. The other D. Let's see, 4. And if the engineer had supplied me with what they'd already determined as which feature they've already determined the feature label, then I'm just going to carry that through, right? Like I'm not going to try to. If I was given their feature titles already, I would not change that. Kind of like this. In this case, I was kind of given it, so I'm just keeping making sure that it's like carrying the same. Yeah. And then I just got to build my table to capture all that data, I think. I'm following where they I don't I guess I said I really don't it doesn't really matter per se as long as you keep track of what the diameters are and making sure that the ones are but technically it wouldn't matter if I wasn't given it at all. And in this case I don't care either way. If as long as you've come up with a system of labeling it where they're, the C's are all the right same diameters and the B's are all the same diameters. What they actually individually are doesn't matter to me as much. So, I mean, where I was just following this one, and so that does make me think, well, if you were given it by an engineer, technically follow it. But in our case, if you weren't and you were establishing what these names were from your own, then you could pick to arrange this however you wanted. You could have called this one, the first one you could have called this one could have been A, B, C. Yeah, it wouldn't have. I would have liked to have grouped the like diameters under the same C's and D's, but. So you can see there's a systematic approach to labeling, like for sure. They've come up with labeling them by diameter as the primary label, and then the number is kind of arbitrary, but it does like see what? Yeah. Just as long as my table matches my whatever I've come up with is the most important. Otherwise, you have errors like I did. That's 1 to 1. Um, I think I'll be able to leave mine there and build my table. So now I'm going to build my table on the text layer as well. So maybe I didn't say that as well. I think I'm just going to bring in my table on my text layer where my text from my table is going to live anyway. So I'm on my text layer. I'm going to insert a table. Mine will be upside down, but if you don't like yours, flip it on your styles. I need how many rows they have. I guess I need whole and the quantity and the XYZ. This is so the assignment shows a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, what, six, like a 6 column table. Let's see what I did on mine. I don't know. 6 columns as well. Looks like I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it looks like I'm following pretty much the same. Whole quantity description XYZ. Yeah, you can there's a lot of manipulation after your table. If you built your table wrong, you can totally get in there and format it. It's like anything, it's kind of painful, but it's all right. You can always delete rows, add rows. It's totally customizable, so you don't have to get it right off the get-go. You can modify it for sure. But if you can plan, maybe I'll plan my columns at least, and then how many rows? I don't know. Maybe I'll not plan that out as well, so I have to do some manipulation. What it's like column and row settings, and maybe I won't worry about the width until I see how long my data is. I don't really know that, so I just know that I need 6 columns. Data rows. Well, I know I need more than three. I can't remember how many. Maybe I'll just say I at least need 10 or something, or how many holes on it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so I'll definitely strategically not pick the right one. First row cell style is going to be a title. Second row cell style is going to be the header, and all of the row styles are going to be the text. So this is going to be built on this title, header. And so maybe I don't need the title. Maybe the title could be the header, and I'm just basing off here. I'll see how I made this. But if I was following this assignment sheet, there really isn't a title. There's just kind of a header and then the data, right? So that's just header and data. When I did mine, I probably built it this way too. It's just header and data. So I really don't have a title. So maybe it's self-explanatory is why there's no title. If I thought about what the title is, it'd be like I don't know. Maybe that's why there's no. What is the title? Title is data. The data is title. So I think I can drop and call my first row style the header. Second row style I can call just data, and then all other rows again. So it looks like that. Headers and data. 6, 8. Okay. This should be what I have to place, this gargantuan title. And I can build this out here and then populate it. And because I'm going to put it on the paper, essentially what I'm doing. So yeah, so I can just build it out here and then move it into position when I want it. Obviously, my columns are going to be way too wide. That's okay. I can size them, and I'll size them like the same, and so they capture like the longest data. But really, because mine's kind of bass backwards, so I would say that's backwards. If I'm building from down up, these are my headers actually. So, and if you want to build yours from top down, feel free. It's okay. Just format your table like that so you're not building it backwards, even though it's built like this is definitely 1 through 10 rows. But if you did build it backwards, don't put in the data backwards. What I'm saying, like make sure you flip your table the correct way if you want it. And I will do my data. So mine are pretty much matching this. So I'm going to say it's just whole quantity description XYZ is the way I'm going to word it. So whole, I'm going to use capital letters as well. This is whole. Then I think I can arrow cursor around here, right? Like, so I'm seeing what, I'll zoom in just a little bit here, but it looks like to me, I don't know if the justification is always centered here. I'll just watch this. Maybe the headers are and the data isn't. I don't know. Like, I'm in here to get over to the next one. I can just use my arrows to like, I use my arrows to navigate through my table. Right. So here, this is whole. I do think it's center justified on these. Is it on the next? Yeah, I think all of them. Maybe default is middle. Like this is the justification of what's the data in the table. I think I kept all mine just center justified, and maybe that's just default. So, whole quantity, which this is legit abbreviation for quantity. QTY quantity. I think there's a couple different quantity. Maybe that's the most common, just the acronym for quantity. QTY, then what description is even shorthand here, TES. I think this CRIP, this is what they've put, and they put periods. I'm going to drop the periods on the end of that, but just script. I think I'm wondering what some other description acronym deviation maybe. I think DESC is really the simplified. So this is kind of strange. They went descript. I think DESC is what I see most common as an abbreviation for description. DESC is also commonly used to represent description. That's just according to Google, which I do feel like is also applicable to being description, full quantity description. And I think I have X. And then I just need data. So I'm in this table. And if I need to add a row here, I could be maybe on this row. Well, I'll just start filling out what I've got, which is A1. I've got A1. I've got 4 B's, 6 C's, and a D. So if I mess my table up, it'd be, here's B1 is going to be this one. B2. Hey, Dave. Oh, that's good. Yeah, let's see here. I just got to finish my labeling here. So I'm back in my table. B2, I think I have 4 B's though. B3, B4. Then I went to C's and I have 6 C's. So I have C1, C2, C3, C4. And I didn't plan it far enough ahead because I need 3 more tables, right? I need C4, 5, 6, and D1. So I need 3 more rows. I think I need to add some rows here. I think right up here. So just click in your table anywhere and you'll get that ribbon menu that's kind of like how you modify your rows. So I should be able to I might come over here to the main row here. And so if you need to delete a row, it should be delete row here. So if I didn't want 10, I should be able to just delete that. Yeah, you have quite a few different grips. We did fine. Oh yeah, B2 has the wrong coordinate from mine. It has the right one in the assignment sheet, the wrong one if you're looking at my uploaded image, which I'll switch out here in just a second. So let's see if they'll figure out my numbering sequence. What these are all with one here now. Yeah. Oh, your table being for whatever reason, because they grow, fell. You bring up some good things, but Kelsey, like it is a little bit different of a table that some like maybe there are some differences in Excel, but because you technically have like three areas to type to click into, huh? You have like the main table, which I feel like is this grip that gives you like column adjustments and moving this table control. Yeah, there's just like so many different like little, and then there's like the single click into each cell gives me this look where I can probably modify my kind of the table. I can add rows, but if you double click in here, it's definitely how you're adding the text, right? And then you have control over the text parameters as well. So this can get annoying, especially if you shove stuff like that's not center justified anymore, because there's this place to look at it right here, middle center justifications here. And there's also when you click into here, maybe you could potentially like move. I think these gray out so you can't. Yeah. Yeah, so that's annoying. So I guess it's like, oh, you have to know that the first click is where you get access to the justification. But that is annoying. I do feel like I don't love AutoCAD's tables. They're maybe they're a little bit more manual and their modifications of data in there, and it if the table is causing you major grief, just delete it and start again later too. It really isn't that big of a deal, and you might notice it right at the end. I'm going to insert rows above for me. I actually need more rows. So that's my number 10, 11. C1, 2, 3. What do I got? C1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then D1, I have one more to add. But I needed all these, I think, in order to add C4, C5. I'll see if I have some rogue cells in there or not. C6. And then I had a D1, and D1 is my last one. D1. So A, that's good. Quantities are one on all of these, I guess. So, oh yeah, I see what you mean. Like all of mine are formatted to go that way. I think I can mass select these though. So I'm not going to worry. Like everything is modifiable. So even if it's not like right for you, and maybe my description's that way too. I'm not sure. Hmm. And it, no, it's like I can mass select all these too. So you can actually do like a grip select, right? Like a click and drag here. So like if I click that first cell and select all these, I can highlight all these cells. And I can technically fix them all at once too. So yeah, so this is actually what's going on is this style here. If I open this up and I go to modify this, it's probably something to do with my data. And it's because it probably wants to like separate your numbers and your like letters and numbers. Maybe a lot of people with their tables will push one to one side or the other. It looks like it's like a default format that we're dealing with here. So here's cell styles data. And I think I can manage or create new cell styles. So let me just poke around here a little bit because I know what's going on is format is data, origins, got the text, you've got borders. It's mostly, I think, that I'm worried about how the data is being displayed. So if I'm going to go to manage cell styles, I'm just digging in a little bit here. The data, header, title, data. Shows that data should be centered. So it's funny that ours is building on, yeah, even mine built mine to where it's like initially pushing letter data, number data, sorry, to the wrong, that's not really wrong either. But middle center is what default should be. It's just funny that it's recognizing data. Yeah, type in the text. It gets pretty detailed. Like here's just me like digging through. Like let me just show like cancel. These tables can get pretty deep to manage the data that's in them. So like here's just the like look how deep I can go to like experiment some of this here. There's the initial my initial table styles. If I want to modify one and drive down to setting up the initial dialog box for modifying it. If I want to explore further in, there's the text style. My audience is fading. The point of this is showing you how deep of a feel like I already changed much of the style, so I'll be creating a new style. Which one are you gonna start with? I don't know why. Yeah, can't say I've exactly found out where our numbers might be going rogue on us a little bit. I think when I've modified mine before, it's been a mass select and description. We must be putting the diameters here as a description, but um, I could kind of I could even change this a little bit. Like my table could be whole diameter. Then I could kind of drop I could even change this to be the diameter symbol if that was like whole diameter. On the draft, I have some options. Whole diameter is this. There's whole A1, there's whole diameter. Um, and so then maybe I change my description from this, and then I can drop the diameter sign in front of each one, but it's not a problem too much either, that I have a 1.7 diameter. Yeah, it looks like it's the type of data. It's letter data is probably centering, and number data is probably pushing off to one side. I might have to do a little bit of digging to find in my why that is in my text. I haven't found it yet, but probably let's see, 7, and then these are all 5s. I have 4 5s, and I have 6 4s, and then I have one that's 2.5. Yeah, and then so how I'm like doing a quick change is just like mass selecting all those cells. Sorry, I got to be in the cell itself, then mass select them all. That's annoying, right? Because you don't mass select them the same way when you're on this particular selection, unless I do that. Either way works. Maybe I'm just looking to fix these ones though. Do a center justify, middle center. Yeah, so it's pretty easy to do a spot change. Hmm. And I've got all my X coordinates and accordingly 4819. Seventy-two, 30, 5, 40. Oh, did I do that right? I didn't do that right. Sorry, don't follow me. Come back and fix the right answer. I'll fix it. 64. I read my columns wrong because I forgot my table's building from down up. So it's actually 64, 5, 72. Mine's upside down. 64. 45, 30, 72, 19, and 48. Fix my y coordinates are what, 38, 38, 38, 11, 11, 38, 38, 21, 11. Correct. Center justify. It's not that they have to be center justified either. It's just that these are this is the only one that's got a through depth of 18. Everything else is through, which is just THRU is the shorthand for through. So I should be able to copy this, paste it all, yeah. Do a mass paste. Sure. These all should be center justified, I guess, by think of this. Center. Yeah. Then it looks like my column widths would be based off of this one here. So I don't know what this ends up being. I'm gonna pull these in. Over here's reading out on my properties panel is reading out my cell width as 36.84. I might just type in a number that's like closer to a whole number just to keep this like plainer and simpler. Like this is 27. So what if my cell width was like 25 over on my tab? Then that's a pretty nice compact width. And it should handle all my other data. So I should be able to like select here and say cell width. We were going to be at 25. And so that's a quick way to, this is me just selecting like the mass column and saying, I just picked some random whole number that looked like it was going to fit my widest column pretty well. And then I'm just going to make all of them match for maybe keep my table pretty clean. It looks like my table that I need. It looks like I could make it smaller. If it's still too wide, I could. So here's how I grip the whole table and drag it over here. And whether it's up here or down here, it doesn't really matter. Mine's kind of a bottom up table, so I tend to put it low on my drawing. If they're top down tables, I tend to put them the other way where they're higher on my drawing and work down. So that's the only difference I do. If I do a bottom up, I usually place them like from the title block up. That's why some places like this is because it's actually like I'm reading from my title block area and my table goes up from my title block. Maybe that's the logic in it. Um, but more of the story is I need to adjust my table, all my column widths a little bit less. Like how much less? Like maybe 20 on this particular one. And then I can probably do the whole mass select rather than go to each one individually. But this column width I'm saying is 25, but maybe 20 would be better. It looks like it still fits my through word, even less than that, probably 15, maybe not. 15 would maybe be a little too tight, but it might fit still. I was going to go even smaller and see. Eventually, it's going to double line my words, and I don't want that maybe in my table. So 10 would be too much probably. So we'll say uh, we'll say 20 will be great. I think I can mass select this table though and just change all of its widths. Maybe right click table width. Maybe not. I was thinking maybe when I first like I don't know. When I first build it, I know I can designate the column width, but I was wondering if there was a place to mass select. Hey, now my table fits with my viewport, and I haven't even had to move anything in my viewport. So I feel like I'm liking this hole quantity, hole diameter, XYZ. Pretty much captures all my data. I still need to fix one little thing here. Now that I've messed up my scale, I need to fix my scale. 1 to 1 in this area. Let me lock that down. But I need to fix these line type scales. I think these are always way too coarse. Yeah. That looks like a nice property. Break up that center line, looks like. Match properties this to this. Oh, why is that not changing for me? There, that one did. For whatever reason, this one doesn't want to change, doesn't want to break up for me the same way. I had to go just a little bit finer on that one. Cool, that looks better. If I look at what it looks like. I just need titles and fill out my title blocks. Not really doing a revision, so the zone of my revision is not particular importance. It's about the title though. Click in here somewhere. Hey, there it is. I'm on 1:1. I'm on A3 size sheet, so that's good. I just need to change that I'm the drawer, and this is the date of the drawing. 10/27 is today, 25. And then for sure I need to add a title to this thing. Which my chosen title is this metering block Bob. Scales correct, okay. All dimensions are in millimeters, that's good. Don't need to really have any designation. Yeah, I'm gonna save this thing as metering block Bob. I'm gonna change it in class, but I'm gonna probably make this my master copy. I like it better than the one I did last year. I mean, I probably could size this up a little bit if I my other drawing might be a little bit I may have made this a little bit larger. If I do size this up, I do feel like I'll have to slide it over. So I feel like I'll just leave it small drawing. More information than there is drawing, potentially, that's okay. But I could make this more compact and scale it up if I felt like it was too small. Yeah, that's it for me. Kind of a chop shop of a recording with lots of inter disruptions, but that's okay. That happens.